Can you get that door?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call a meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Tonight we have John Studnick and Kerry Brungard are absent. Everybody else is present. Old business, approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes of March 18, 2021, and the special meeting minutes of March 23, 2021 were provided in the agenda packet for your review. I need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of March 18, 2021, and the special meeting minutes of March 23, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Motion passed. New business, audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay, no? Presentations, Citizen Academy graduation recognition. And Matt? you wanna-
So we have several individuals here this evening that have gone through the Citizens Academy during this year, during 2020 and 2021. And then we have a few from last year's class as well, because we didn't have a graduation ceremony for them last year because of COVID and everything that was going on. So with that, we'll have them come up and we'll hand them some plaques and do a little bit of recognition for them. So let's have Jim and Terry come up first. Jim Neighbors and Terry Neighbors.
My other wife didn't make it this evening.
Okay. Well, I got both for you.
Jim, congratulations. I'm sure it was a tough test, but
Oh,
I'm sure you passed
It
it.
was an interesting discussion all the way around. Thank you, sir.
And then next, we have Patricia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to the academy.
I enjoyed it.
And then we have Lorraine and Tom Long.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Last year.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Certainly.
And
This year.
We both enjoyed it. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
it is. Yeah, everybody should do it. Thank you.
And then John Wilhelm.
Thanks.
And Carmen Elston.
Yeah, congratulations.
And Mr. Ed Chapman III.
Alright. Okay. You want to take a picture?
Well, of course
If allowed.
She wants to give that to my probation officer.
Congratulations.
That's
Probably should have said something beforehand, but we really do appreciate your guys' time and effort in going to the academy. I think it's a good program. I think everybody who's been through it has learned a lot about the city, and believe it or not, that helps us on the governing body to have more people understand how the city actually runs and why we do some stuff that some people don't think is normal sometimes. But so spread the word. We'd like to have more come. So really appreciate you guys attending, and thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the library update. Oh, by the way, you don't have to stay for the entire meeting unless you really would like to.
Well, there you go.
Okay, Well, I am here to give you guys an update on what's been going on at the library over the last 6 months or so. Let's see, do you have, okay. So, alrighty. So, is there, okay. So, just to give you guys a quick update as to where we're at with reopening. We color coded all of our phases in reopening from red down to green. Thank you. So right now we are in the yellow phase, expanded services. That's the under 5%. These standards are all the Leavenworth County libraries and the Northeast region. These are the standards that we chose as a group. So what's new here basically is people are allowed in the library. They can browse the stacks. Our study room opened up at the beginning of March. And then we also, as soon as the weather gets nice, we're going to start doing some programs outside, socially distanced, what we can do there. First, we're going to focus on the school-age kids and adult programs. They're easier to socially distance and stay masked. We are exploring ways to hold story times. We'll see how that goes. That'll be outside, but it'll definitely have to be warmer. 10:30 in the morning is a little chilly at times. But again, depending on if the levels stay stable and the vaccinations are going the way they are, we will start looking into having programs indoors with a limited number of people and try that. We also have our computers open again. 5 of them are available 60 minutes, which was standard beforehand. And because of social distancing, we provide as much one-on-one assistance as we can, but there's only so much you can do and stay socially distanced and safe there. We are having to reevaluate moving to the next phase, the green and opal. In the beginning, when we put this together, the normal operations. Unfortunately, I don't know that normal operations pre-pandemic is going to look like normal operations post-pandemic. So we're going to, in the beginning, we said socially distanced and masks no longer needed. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. That's one of the discussions that the area library directors and I are having now, and what that's going to look like. And how do I?
There you go.
Thank you. So, some of our recent accomplishments. You guys have seen in your packets the last few weeks about Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. We have all of the paperwork completed now. It is a program, an international program that provides a monthly book to children from the birth to age 5. And we are partnering with the Lansing Kiwanis Club and the Friends of the Library to fund that program. So in the next few weeks, you should see information about enrolling. It is for City of Lansing residents because it is a library program. We also recently submitted the renewal packet, the first time since we got our accreditation. But this time we had absolutely no waivers for service exceptions. So we are completely accredited without any areas that we have to work on. So we did expand our reading challenge program. As I've mentioned before, that we had a new program called Beanstack. But with that, we've learned that we can do monthly and year-long programs. it allows us to improve the user experience, and it's kind of like I said, it's like a Fitbit for reading and activities. It's a lot, the graphics are better along that. And then one of the things that I was surprised, and I wanted to put it in here, is that with the pandemic and us being closed and doing curbside for a long time, I was afraid that our return rate and that we would lose a lot of materials through that, because people would think we're closed, not bring them back, they get lost, whatever. And actually our return rate increased from 92% to 96% during all of this. So that was a pleasant surprise and accomplishment. That's a lot of diligence on Nicole's part and following up with patrons on that. And then the one waiver that we did have that we cleared up is we set forth goals to maintain our growth. It was one of the expectations that Nichols has for their libraries, and over the last year, the staff and the advisory board have set different goals in place for that. Then, so for library basics, we have 3,400 people with library cards. Again, with the pandemic, we were surprised. We didn't think we would lose patrons, but we actually gained 214 patrons in 2020, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when everybody is not going out and about, that was quite a bit. We do have over 1 million items in the card catalog. 220, or 200, that'd be nice. 220 would be awesome. No, 22,000 of those are physically in our library, and our collection is valued at just over 400,000. And with the addition of Overdrive, Libby by Overdrive, and Hoopla, we have over 950,000 items in our digital collection.
I have a question. You don't know what percentage of the people that have the library cards are Lansing residents, do you, by chance?
Not off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
I was just curious.
That I can't tell you right off.
I figured they're probably just a mixed Leavenworth, Lansing County.
Yeah, it is a good mixture. I do know that the majority are Lansing residents. I couldn't tell you the percentage right now.
But if you have a Lansing card, you can go to the Leavenworth Library?
You can go to any of the 50 libraries in the Northeast Kansas region.
You're not limited to just Lansing?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I won't get into great detail about this. The green line is this year's, but the numbers over the last year are definitely better than I anticipated. One thing to keep in mind is that we were only fully closed basically the end of March and April. We did open our doors and we started providing services again on May 4th. And since May 4th, we have not been fully closed. We've provided curbside service, or we're fully open. There were only 2 times that we did curbside, and that was in May, and I believe we opened in June. And then we provided curbside service again during the holidays when we had that spike. So during that, we were all open and had patrons in the library. So with us being closed, the digital collection definitely took off. That was one of our goals, is that we wanted to increase awareness about our digital collection. Well, 2020 did that for us. We almost doubled our digital collection usage. We went from 4,300 up to 8,000. Right now, and I just pulled the numbers this morning, and we've already had over 2,000 checkouts of our digital collection in the first 3 months of the year. And we haven't even reached our busy season with the summer. So I'm expecting this year to surpass last year's numbers for the digital collection. And you'll notice that the RB Digital is 0. Well, RB Digital and the Cloud Library merged at the end of last year. So the second 2, the local, the Overdrive and the Hoopla, are both maintained by Lansing Library and Nichols, and the other 2 are the State Library. As you can see, the computer usage drastically decreased because we were closed. We didn't have them open. We did have them open, I believe, in June and July of last year, but since then, they just opened up again in March, so we're still waiting for numbers on those. And then our Wi-Fi, that's still being heavily utilized by our community. In 2020, we did have 149 programs. They looked a whole lot different than they used to. We typically have 250 programs a year, so I think that the staff did an amazing job of trying to keep our community engaged and learning. We had 57 story times last year, 61 children's activities or programs, 2 teen programs, and 28 adult activities. And we do already have an entire slate full for this year. We've planned that out. So some of the activities that they did, we had writing journaling prompts for the community. We did book spine poetry, trivia contests. They had to guess book titles with emojis, scavenger hunts around the community. We sent them out to all of our parks and our trails. We had Lego contests and bookmark contests, in addition to all of the normal reading activities and arts and crafts. We also brought in Dan Gutman. He's an internationally known author. He did 2 programs for us, and he was very good with the kids. We did do a program with all of the area libraries called We've Been Here Before. The first one, we partnered with World War I Museum about the 1918 Spanish flu, and that was picked up by C-SPAN. So C-SPAN is going to be announcing all of our Leavenworth County libraries and talking about our card catalog. So we had 380 people watch that, and over 2,700 people view it for at least 3 minutes. And then our next collaborative is going to be with COVID-19 vaccine, and we are excited to have Dr. Lee Norman be on the panel for that. That's coming up on April 21st. The other program that we had 439 people watch a program about the polio vaccine, because that was the most recent mass vaccination program that was done that some people still remember. So this is the Beanstack program that I was talking about. I wanted to show you the graphics that I was talking about. They have, it can be used on a computer, any handheld device, but we have the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten there. We have a year-long program, and the Read Woke, where we encourage people to read books about different disabilities, immigration, Women's History Month, Black History Month, just a very big, diverse group of authors there. So with that program, we had 112 people participating in our monthly programs. We had 211 in our summer program and 100 in the year-round programs. And if you look at the badges earned, the badges are books read or activities completed. Well, those are the books read. The activities completed, we had 824 activities, but we've had over 3,200 books logged and 302 hours read with that program. And these are some of the badges that they can get, and they start off grayed out and then they become colored. So for some of the goals for 2021, most importantly, the programming. We have to find a way to work with the current climate and with adequate spacing and masks and outdoors. We're going to be looking into hybrid programs. The Zoom programs have been pretty popular, so we're going to find a way to have some people in the room and then continue Zooming for those who can't make it or want to view it later. We're also partnering with Parks and Rec and After I put this together, I did find out that we're going to be partnering with the Kansas Extension Office and create a story walk. So we'll be getting that up, and I think we're going to have our first one at the fishing derby. So if they get bored catching fish, they can read a book and do activities in between. Our services, all the check marks are things that we've already have completed or made substantial progress on. We're reopening the library as it makes sense. We did set up library cards, interlibrary loan for the middle school and high school, so if they don't have books that they need for their students, that we can provide it to them, and we will either deliver it to them or they'll pick it up. We are establishing a permanent curbside service parking spot right outside the library. We have plenty of patrons who have medical issues who can't come in, or, you know, how many times have you had a sleeping child in the back and you wanted to pick up your book or your movie, and it's nothing for us to, you know, for them to give us a call and us running out to the car for them. And then we have an online digital card application, and we have streamlined the process for it to become a full access card where they can use it. And then finally, we are working on creating a social media team to focus on helping us break the algorithms so we can get the word out. When we've done surveys about how people have heard about our programs, it has been either word of mouth or by social media. So we need to find a way to break that algorithm and get the word out there, which is part of developing a social media plan. And then we're also, part of that is advertising all of the one-off services that we provide, like our notary service, the scanning, the printing, the one-on-one tech program. Somebody needs to know how to use Word, Excel, any of the other services like that. So we're going to start heavily advertising that as well. So those are the goals that our advisory board, when we sat down, figured out it made sense to do an interim plan at this point. So that is what is going on at the library. There is no music this time. Does anybody have any questions for me at all? Yes.
Yeah, Terry, so you mentioned increase in the reading challenge program.
Mm-hmm.
What can you contribute that to? How did you do that?
We got a different program that was more user-friendly. The activities that were part of the program were more engaging. It wasn't just read a book. It was go out and find a leaf that is from this type of tree, go on a walk, a nature walk with your family. It was a lot more interactive activities. Other than doing that, we put our trivia, you know, if they answered our trivia question, they got to mark that little box. We also do random drawings for, you know, the library mug or the t-shirt for the summer reading program, things like that. But I guess one of a little silver lining is it was the pandemic. I mean, people were at home and we gave them opportunities to be able to go out and do things safely and not necessarily come into the library. Or that's what we've heard.
Any other questions?
And if you guys want to help out at all, as soon as we make the official announcement of the Imagination Library, please help us spread the word about that, because it is a free service to all Lansing residents 5 and under. So that's it.
All right, thanks,
Thanks.
Terry.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, items for council consideration. Ordinance number 1057, rezone request for 1153 and 1155 Industrial Terrace. A rezoning request has been received to rezone the property from B3 Regional Business District to I1 Light Industrial District. If approved, this would allow the applicant to develop a project on the property to grow produce and perhaps seafood for resale. The Planning Commission met on 16 March and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the rezone. I need a motion to approve ordinance number 1057.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Turnbull?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Motion passed. Ordinance number 1058, Unified Development Ordinance Amendments. This ordinance would amend the Unified Development Ordinance regarding sign setback requirements. These changes, if approved, would make regulations more clear and easier to understand than the current language. The Planning Commission met on 16 March and voted unanimously to approve the text amendments. I need a motion to approve ordinance number 1058.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? No?
Mr.
Call the
Turnbull?
roll.
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 6, approval of property acquisition services, K7 and Eisenhower project. Property acquisition services are needed for the K7 and Eisenhower project. SMH Consultants provided these services for the DeSoto Road project and is under contract to provide these services for the DeSoto Road roundabout project as well. There are 6 total parcels affected, 2 in Leavenworth and 4 in Lansing. Action, a motion to approve task order 4 from SMH Consultants for property acquisition services in the amount not to exceed $26,600.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mike's here to answer any questions.
It's good work, Mike.
Any questions for Mike? No?
Mr. Turnbull?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Motion passed. Ordinance number 1059, face mask ordinance. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this agenda item? If so, please come to the microphone, state your name and address before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Kirsten Workman. I live at 331 Sage Street in Lansing. I have been a registered nurse since March of 2009. My comments address the mask mandate. I'm not here today to try and convince you of my opinion that fabric masks are not effective at preventing the transmission of COVID-19. Masks are appropriate in certain circumstances. I believe your obligation to your constituents ends with the distribution of formal recommendations regarding those situations. For example, you might inform the public that surgical masks may be of help at certain times, and that is because they are capable of filtering exhaled respiratory droplets, not aerosolized particles through the air, but droplets. If someone is sick, a surgical mask may help prevent viral transmission via droplets, but will not prevent the spread of the virus through the air. You would probably be better off urging hand washing, which is still the single best method for preventing disease transmission, but that's a relatively inexpensive measure that doesn't come with lots of federal money. Until there exists even one randomized control trial, which is the gold standard for scientific evidence, that supports the effectiveness of non-surgical grade masks in preventing the transmission of airborne diseases like COVID-19, tuberculosis, or the flu, I will continue to rely on the science established before this political nightmare began. But as I said, I am not here to change your opinion on the effectiveness of masks. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
No, that's okay. Take your time.
I am here to talk about what your criteria will be for giving me my freedom back, because I assure you, I and many others will not continue to surrender it indefinitely. We all know that data can be manipulated. For example, sometime around January 7th of this year, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment changed the cycle threshold recommendation for the COVID-19 PCR test from 42 cycles to 35 cycles. If you're not familiar with the PCR test, it's exceedingly specific. The greater the number of cycles required for a positive result, the lower a person's viral load. With continued cycles of the PCR test, at some point it becomes practically inevitable that someone will test positive for whatever the virus is looking for, or for whatever virus it's looking for, excuse me. Most experts have agreed that after 35 cycles, the test will yield a false positive result. Many experts say running the test beyond 30 cycles will yield a false positive, so 30 to 35. This is why many people who've recovered from a viral illness continue to test positive for months after recovering. You can imagine how many more people test positive for COVID-19 when the cycle threshold is set to 42 instead of the usual maximum range of 30 to 35 cycles. Of course, we would expect to see a downward trend of cases after this politically timed adjustment of the criteria for what continues to be, or for what constitutes a positive result. Many people have argued that our elected officials have vastly overstepped their authority this year, trading public trust for short-term political gains. I believe that's true, but I also think it's quite possible that many elected officials have underestimated the effects of these ordinances that you have passed. Many of you have shrugged off using your own common sense and denied your own intellectual capacity in order to yield to the draconian measures that public health officials claim science dictates. They do not hold the patent for the interpretation of scientific truth, and they are not elected. Every time I put a mask on, I feel like I'm contributing to a lie that's teaching us all to trust the government with our own health, while it destroys small businesses and chips away at our self-sufficiency. That genuinely causes me moral distress, and it's taking a serious toll. But I need to share an even more personal story with you before I leave tonight. Before COVID-19 turned our world upside down, I never would have imagined the education my children are entitled to in this country would be in jeopardy. I found myself immensely grateful my youngest daughter would have the option to attend school in person this year. While we all sidelined the psychological effects of constant mask wearing on our children for the time being, I have been reminded many times of the psychological damage it's doing. My 7-year-old daughter is not even a little bit afraid of COVID, but she does think her face is too big. And day by day, my beautiful little girl feels more and more comfortable hiding her face with a mask than she does not wearing it. My heart breaks each time I have to make her take it off so I can see her beautiful smile. I request that you cancel the mask mandate on the grounds that requiring me to cover my face in public violates my fundamental, God-given, inalienable right. Forcing me to wear a mask or a yellow star or a scarlet letter or carry a vaccination card, if that's where things are headed, spits in the face of individual liberty. It was never in your authority to force me to cover my face in public. You should stand up for the Constitution you have taken an oath to defend. I am not city property to be protected, and neither is anyone else. COVID-19 has a survival rate of 99.997% for anyone under the age of 70, and 94.6% for those older than 70. Before you issue another mandate, I'm sincerely asking you what metrics you would be looking for in order to lift it. That's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I do have one I sent in on an email. I didn't know if it was going to be read or if should I just go ahead and read it?
Sure.
All right. My name is Brooke Nowlin. I live at 14132 Huntington Lane in Lansing, Kansas. And I would like to just quickly, before I read this, second every single thing this woman just came up here and said. And thank you. I couldn't have said it better. Mine's much more concise, and I come at it from not at all scientific. I'm not going to talk science at all. This was written from the heart of a believer in the Constitution. I wrote into the Lansing. I said, I've spoken to a couple of you concerning my concerns about the mask mandates. I agree that Lansing should not be mandating masks. A mandate is a temporary power given to officials in emergencies. Emergencies, by definition, do not last for years. This is governmental overreach at this point, and mask mandates need lifted immediately. Many businesses are suffering because many people do not want to wear the masks, and they are willing to take their money to neighboring towns who've abandoned the mask mandates. As a Lansing resident, I'm personally upset to find that these votes are being made with little to no public input, which is why I'm here. Please end the mask mandate, and I would ask that you pray that the patriotic citizens of Lansing who do understand their God-given and constitutional rights could continue to have faith in their appointed representatives. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we start, I just want to make sure that before we start any discussion or go through the motion on this ordinance, I want to make sure everyone is aware that there is no state or county mandate in place any longer. The governor did pass or put out an executive order, but that was denied by the Legislative Coordination Council, which was stood up for that specific purpose. So that is no longer in place. So this ordinance would be based on the city's home rule authorities. So just so everybody here is aware, and maybe you haven't seen the news, but that's the case right now. So we'll make a motion. Let's see. This ordinance is in compliance with SB 40 and would replace Ordinance 1056 passed on March 23rd. And I will open the floor to discussions.
So, Mayor, if I may.
Yep.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I was initially in favor of the mask mandate when we had it and we put it in through the end of February based on the governor's guidance and everything that we have heard. I have since switched my view. I believe that the mask mandate needs to go away. I believe that it is time, as both of these ladies eloquently said, to give responsibility back to the citizens of Lansing. Okay? As I mentioned in our work session, one of the reasons that we did this and we implemented this mask mandate was because Leavenworth implemented theirs and we didn't want the confusion. Leavenworth is no longer in effect. So I think that, you know, if we implemented it to avoid some confusion, we should follow Leavenworth again and let it expire and not approve it. Okay? Because they're going to go from one side of the street to another where they don't have to wear a mask to where they do have to wear a mask. Secondly, a lot of the businesses that I talk to say they're losing business because we still have a mask mandate and the other places don't. So if they don't want to wear a mask, they go south or they go north to avoid having to wear a mask. And finally, as I was looking on the CDC website today, there's a point on the CDC website where they say the vaccination has been proven to be effective against the transmission, and early studies have shown that the vaccination or the natural antibodies, if you have either, is also not allowing people to spread the virus. Those are the early studies. I'm sure they'll do more studies. So with the way that the vaccinations are currently going, everybody in the high-risk age groups in Leavenworth County has been given an opportunity to get a vaccination if they want one. I think those that wanted it got it. My 80-year-old grandma or mother-in-law got one. And I think that if they got it, again, if they want to wear a mask, they can wear a mask. If they chose not to get the vaccine and they want to wear a mask, they can wear a mask. Let the citizens be responsible for their own well-being. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to make a point here that, which I have said, part of my reason for voting for it was to give the Leavenworth County Health Department as much time as possible to get the vaccines out. Initially, they were in short supply, and as time has gone on, they've been getting more and more and more out. So that was my reason. I have absolutely no desire to control anybody. I have enough on my own plate. Last time I looked, they had roughly 25% of the county had done that. I know that it's available at the VA, but anybody connected with the VA can go up there and get it. That doesn't necessarily mean they all live in Leavenworth or Wyandotte, or Leavenworth or Lansing. And I know I believe they're becoming more frequent on post. Although the post continues to have a mask mandate, as does the school district. But if we do the home mandate deal with Mr. City Attorney, we set ourselves up for a lawsuit, don't we? If we did the home rule.
My reading, and I talked to the league about this on SB 40. My understanding is that there's two things at play there. One is we had discussed, or at least there was a discussion about the emergency designation for cities for emergency planning. Well, no city in the state of Kansas has that designation, so that doesn't apply for the cities. The other issue was whether or not that, we would be subject to this potential 72-hour and 7-day turnaround on any lawsuits. That appears that will only apply to the counties. So I don't think that we're worried about, per se, under SB 40 a lawsuit, but at the same time we were looking at being challenged before, and now with the governor not having even a statewide mandate in place, I think that we're going to be potentially opening ourselves up for people who want to challenge these type of things. And right now it seems like if we pass it, we might be one of the few outliers left in the state after today. I don't know what the rest of the state is doing,
Sure.
but with the governor not having a ability to enforce it statewide, it's going to be up to basically cities and counties to do what they want to do. And I don't know where they're going at right now. I guess we'll find out probably next week about how cities and counties have handled this. But yes, could we be subject to some type of lawsuit? My understanding is that from what I've read about other states and perhaps even in Kansas, I know there was one in Lawrence or in Douglas County where they're starting to challenge the science, where they're starting to challenge whether or not these are there's the counties or cities are making the findings necessary to say that this is still a situation that would mandate these masks. And again, whether or not the efficacy of the mask is working against the threat, or is the threat high enough, the threshold, as I don't remember her name, but she mentioned the CT cycles. People will start attack this science because, as she stated, it was correct. KHEL was running 42 cycles for the longest, and then January 6th, I would disagree with you on one thing. It didn't go from 42 to 35; it went from 42 to 37. So these are the type of things people, if they're have enough, I guess, wherewithal and really feel this is something they are opposed against, I think you could start to see people turn towards the court system for solutions. Now, again, but I think we're coming out of this anyway by end of May. So whether or not litigation could get through in that time frame, I would doubt it, but we are not constrained by that 72 hours and 7-day turnaround as was talked about before.
Okay, thank you.
Jesse,
Just have a quick question. Do we have any confirmation on what side the local businesses are on? I've heard that some are for it, some are against it. I'm just wondering, do we have any official reading on where they're at?
I think that's pretty accurate. I know we've heard from a few that like it and they feel like it levels the playing field, and then we've heard from a few that vehemently disagree with it. So, I mean, I don't have a percentage or anything like that, but I'm sure it's comparable to the ones you guys have heard from. Some people think it's a good idea, some people think it's a terrible idea.
But I can tell you also that in some of the businesses I've been in, I've seen people without masks who are served because, the businesses don't want to lose business. So typically they're not pushing people away.
Did they get a ticket?
I didn't give them a ticket, no, Jesse. I could put you on that detail if you'd like, though.
No, thank you.
Okay. No, I just wanted to point that out.
If the businesses still want to pursue the mask mandate, is that going to be something that's going to be a problem? I mean, I mean, if they want to turn somebody away, or is it's just going to be up to them? They can still put it in place if they want.
Yeah, a business could put it in place if that business wanted to, and if they had a customer who wasn't complying with their rules, that would be their property, so.
And there's no
It
doubt
would still
about
be their
that.
option.
What's that?
I didn't hear what you said, Chief.
I said, there's no question about that. Well, they've got their doors marked or whatever, it says mask mandate. That's
It's not a
it.
mandate, it's just their requirement.
Well, mandate, if that's what they're requiring for you to enter their
Yeah.
property.
Just add mask to your no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Right.
I mean, that's basically.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
We have the right to refuse service. Right.
There seems to be some confusion over that. So,
No, I mean, they have that right.
all right, just want to be sure we're clear on that.
And has anyone been cited in any business for not having worn a mask? Do we know?
No citations, but a few verbal warnings have been given.
We haven't cited anyone yet.
I have a question if I could. When you guys say mandate, a mask
Sure.
mandate, you're saying that,
Can you come up to the podium, please? I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to understand.
We have people online, so we want them to hear.
So I have a question about the mandates you guys were saying. Can a business impose their own mandate? Somebody said, sure, it's private property, sure, they can do whatever they want. But a mandate is a temporary power given in a state of emergency. How can someone explain how that would still apply now?
Yeah.
Probably a poor choice
The
of
proper
words on
term
that.
would-
That's what I was saying, it's not a
Okay, well then
mandate.
if they can't mandate it though, then they can't mandate it like
Well,
that.
It's their policy, is what it is. It's not a mandate, it's their policy.
A private business can do, a private business can restrict, as long as they're not violating some other kind of discriminatory prohibitions. I mean, it's not a protected class to say you must wear a mask to come into my business. I can refuse service to you and entry if you won't wear a mask. And that has nothing to do with the city council. That's a private business making its own decision. So if they don't pass a mask mandate, which would be a legally binding situation, a private business could do what they want. Just like if you don't want somebody to come into your home wearing a mask, you could say take your mask off or you're not coming
So
in.
the most they can do though is have you leave. It's not a punishable.
Yeah, yeah.
offense.
Oh,
No,
right,
there's
right.
no.
They can ask you to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you refuse to leave, then the police can come and maybe perhaps cite you for trespass. But outside of that, no, it's nothing to do with the city having a legally enforceable ordinance if they don't pass that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Not a lot, just policy. Jesse, you?
Well, I guess I'll jump on what Gene said about the lawsuits. I know Wichita voted to end their mandate because they were worried about getting sued, correct?
That's what I read, yes.
Yes. Wichita, a big city, made the decision because to end it because they were worried about getting sued. And I know that I don't want to spend any money on lawyers or court costs or anything like that, especially hard-earned taxpayer money, that's for sure. The other thing I want to comment is I'm just simply tired of losing my freedoms in this country right now. I mean, one of our big freedoms is freedom of speech. In our world right now, freedom of speech doesn't exist. Without opening your mouth, you offend everybody anymore, and I'm tired of it. My Second Amendment rights are compromised every day anymore because of mass shootings, and now we have this mask mandate, and it's just like freedom after freedom after freedom is just disappearing, and I just need it to stop. It's ridiculous. We're adults, and even if we have small children, they have parents to monitor them, and we can decide whether we do or don't want to wear the mask. Governor Kelly thought she was smart enough to put the mandate in place, and the legislator was smarter, and they voted her down. I mean, that says it right there. The CDC, everybody keeps looking at the CDC this, the CDC that. The CDC had a number in there, and I keep going back to it. And it was 480,000 people died of cigarette-related deaths in 2019. I didn't look at 220 because everybody died of COVID in 220. But 480,000 people died of cigarette deaths. But we still allow smoking, despite all those deaths. You know why? Because people have the freedom to smoke, so they like to smoke. That's fine. I want my freedom back to not wear a mask, right? I just don't want to be told to wear a mask. If you're scared of COVID, stay home. Be safe. Protect yourself. Wear a mask. Just don't mandate it. It's something we shouldn't be forced to do. I just really want to thank the people who wrote letters in against the mandate, because I really think we need to hear the voice of those people out loud. And I appreciate you ladies coming and speaking this evening. So that's all I got.
But I also think, as much as a business has the right to ask you to wear a mask if they would so see, well, that's what they want. They have as much right to say no, yes or no, and that's what you're trying to say.
Right, right. Well, a bank's not gonna open their doors right now with masks. You got them people walk into a bank, they're not gonna have the doors wide open because people can walk in with a mask on, no problem, you know?
You're going to the wrong bank then.
Like,
You can walk into my bank with a mask on.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I never-
Marcus? I'm sorry, you done yet?
No, I'm done.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything that's not already been said tonight. I do want to, just highlight the fact that we don't know what the percentage is of declination of taking the vaccine. So we have a number thrown out there that says we may be 25, 30% vaccinated. What you don't know is it could be 50 to 75% are refusing to take the vaccine. So where does that leave?
No,
Right? You know,
I agree. I agree, because
so-
there's plenty out there that shows as many as 50% of the people won't take it.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
No, I hear you, and that number, the number that I threw out was based on the health department as of Monday,
Right.
which doesn't include the VA,
Right.
and those people could be coming from anywhere.
Yep. You know, I'm not saying it's a bad
Yeah.
thing. I'm just saying,
Right.
make sure we highlight the fact that we're trying to get people to
Well, and
vaccine. and you're
that's the point I was
absolutely
trying to
right.
make.
Yeah, you're
I have
absolutely
said
right.
from the beginning, I'm trying to give the health department as much time as possible to get the shots out to as many people that want them.
Yep.
I've been very consistent about that.
Yep, yep. And we're trying like crazy. So you're absolutely right on post. We are doing second doses and a large number of first doses, and it's pretty exciting for all those that are on post or our spouses now of the folks that are working on post in the military. So yeah, it's good. I'd just like to say that, you know, I've been opposed of it last week when we voted, and I'm still opposed to mandate masks. I don't believe that we need to mandate it, but I'm not saying not to wear the mask. I'm still going to be wearing my mask. I mean, everybody should have the opportunity to decide whether to wear the mask or not. You wear the mask in a business, and businesses, you know, may mandate it or may not mandate it. They're not going to tell you not to wear it, but I think the time has come at this point that we don't need to go against what the state has passed, and we don't need to be the only outlier where you come into Lansing and we're the only ones with a mask, because it's been said, and many of you have highlighted, that people are going to take their business somewhere else. People are going to buy homes somewhere else because they don't feel that they have the confidence in us looking at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we want people and communities, and we want everything to go well in Lansing. So I support what the state is doing. That's all I got to say.
That was everybody. Okay, so the original motion was a motion to approve ordinance number 1059. I'm going to ask for a motion to deny ordinance 1059 based on the discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Motion passed. To deny. Okay,
Mayor,
report. Oh,
So-
I'm sorry?
we need to handle 1050.
Oh, I'm sorry.
1056.
Okay.
So this would rescind the one that was passed
Right. We still have one
at the
item.
previous meeting.
Because we disapproved this one, we have to go back and rescind the old one. Okay, so
So you know what it says.
ordinance 1060 repeals ordinance 1056 and would eliminate the city's ordinance regarding face masks. So I need a motion to approve ordinance 1060.
So moved.
Second.
Well, hang on.
What?
Where's 1060?
At the top.
Just for
1060
Oh,
is
okay.
passed
Oh,
last time.
got it. I see it. Thanks.
just procedurally, what you've done is, because of the vote last time, we kind of presupposed that it was going to go in favor of again, and that would have automatically repealed this one, but because you denied it, now we got to do the housekeeping cleanup to get
Okay.
rid of the old one.
Need to get that one off the books. So I need a motion to approve ordinance 1060.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call roll.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Motion passed. Reports, department heads. Any department heads? City attorney.
Nothing to report.
City engineer. Where'd Mike go?
He went home.
Okay. Don't blame him. All right, Tim, what do you got?
I believe you guys might have received an email from LCDC regarding like economic development goals and objectives and how we think LCDC should be spending their time. I know Mayor McNeil has responded to it. They really want input from all of the elected officials from all of the different cities in the county. So, you know, if you to focus more on one thing or another, please do reply to that email. I believe that was sent to you guys last week, so feel free to reply to that.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Tim. It's really short. I mean, you go down and prioritize just a few things on what you think they should be spending the money and whether or not they should be adding money to economic development.
But I think the suspense, Tim, was today.
It was
And I had
today.
every intent of trying to get to it.
They extended it a couple of weeks,
Good.
so feel free to
Yeah.
still reply.
Thanks.
And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Tim. Okay, we'll go around the horn. So, Dave,
Nothing, sir.
and nothing.
Pass my time to my compadre.
Gene?
I'd like to thank everybody for taking the class. Perhaps if some of us had taken the class, we wouldn't be where we're at today. Some of us took the class the hard way.
No.
Yeah. Tonight don't prove it, I don't know what does. Had an opportunity to watch the very brief county commission meeting this afternoon, which ended up being nothing because once the state did what they did, the meeting was pointless. I want to point out that there was some comments made about the great numbers and the way things are working out proves that the county had done the right thing. I want to point out here what the county did was nothing. It's because, in my opinion, what Leavenworth, Lansing, and Tonganoxie did, we're the ones that bit the bullet. And I think I'm a believer in masks, and I think they helped. And so that's all I got to say about that. Before I say anything else I shouldn't say.
Jesse? Got anything?
Marcus.
Marcus, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I'd like to second the congratulations to those that graduated tonight and those that graduated last year that we celebrated tonight. Thank you, Matt, for overseeing that, and thank you for all those attending, and congratulations to those that graduated Citizens Academy. I'd like to thank Terry and her staff. It's amazing work. It's amazing what you have been able to do and your staff has been able to do with that library during this pandemic, during this mask wearing and this COVID issue that people are scared to get out, and people are scared to get out and do, and you were able to open the doors and get creative ways to service the community. Leavenworth County, I'll say Leavenworth County because everybody can use your library. And thank you so much for that, Terry. I really appreciate that and all your staff. And then lastly, I'd just like to say thank you for all our first responders. I always like to thank our first responders tonight. Chief Wayman, I see you back there. I'd like to thank you guys and our Leavenworth Fire District folks. Thank you for all that you're doing for us during these times. That's all I got. Thank you.
Are you running for office? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
We're wearing the same tie tonight. You know, it's already bad enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
They called each other.
Jesse?
Yeah, congratulations to all the Academy graduates. You know, it's of course, most of us have been through that. It's really knowledgeable to go sit through and see, especially the wastewater treatment plant, to see what those people do out there is really enlightening. So, but congratulations to those people. Thanks, Terry, to your report. Really enlightened what's going on over across the street. And we hope you get back open fully and can welcome people back in to just enjoy the library. That's for sure. Again, thank you, ladies, for coming in. We appreciate all the emails, letters, and voices of those people who didn't want to extend the mandate. And I think we did a good thing here tonight, putting the power back in the people's hands to allow them to decide whether to wear the mask or not. In closing, I'll just say be safe. Do what you feel you need to do out there. That's it.
All right, thanks. Greg?
So I will jump on the bandwagon and say congratulations again to all the Academy graduates. We can't make the city this size run with the staff that we have, and so we need volunteers, and we appreciate all the volunteering that you do. Terry, great briefing. The library has accomplished a lot, and apparently I need to hang out there more because I didn't realize getting bored catching fish was actually a thing. But, so I guess I need to do that. Ladies, Ms. Workman, Ms. Nolan, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and it's really nice to see people other than the staff in the city council meetings along with these. So please feel free to, come and let us know, send us emails, because we do appreciate the feedback, and we do appreciate you coming and spending an hour or more of your Thursday evening with us in the city. And with that, Mayor, on this day in 1976, the company that most of us use, Apple, was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. And with that, Mayor, I pass my time to run.
You'll pass your time to run.
Nope.
Well, I too just would like to thank Terry. Very informative briefing, as well as the Academy graduates as well. And that's all I have.
Okay.
You make the motion.
And I move that the meeting be adjourned, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Hey,
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Call the roll.
Mr.
you'll get
Trickle?
wrong. Come naturally.
Mr. Crable.
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Hold on, your pace.